Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Good
ma'am.
afternoon.
Good
Good
afternoon.
Ma'am,
afternoon
good
from
afternoon. Good afternoon.
sorry.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Can I ask which city do I come from? Where am I conducting my classes?
Bangalore.
Again?
Bangalore,
Bangalore.
Karnataka.
Mumbai.
Postal resident Bangalore.
Today we are learning about cognitive assessment. So I just wanted to check the attention value of what I had told you earlier, where I am, conducting these classes. It's Mangalore, the coastal city of Karnataka. So it's not Bangalore, it's not Mumbai. I am from Maharashtra though, so very close to Mumbai. I'm from Pune. And I thought, let me just check the attention score, how much you all have been paying attention to what I've been talking. So we'll take it from there. Just a bit of a disclaimer here that there is heavy rains where I am right now, and electricity is an absolute problem over here. But I've requested Gurvinder to step in any time that my internet fails. So let's do this together.
पुण्याला कधी येणार आहे का आता तुम्ही?
सारखीच येत असते, जा म्हणलं तर जाते.
या मग पुण्याला मग मॅडम, आमचं मीटिंग पण असेल पुणे टीमचा आता.
Surely, why not? We will catch up when I'm there.
Yes, ma'am.
My pleasure. PPT clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Clear.
Yeah. All right. So today's class is
Ma'am,
going
it
to
is
be
not in
about.
full screen. Ma'am, it is not in full screen.
In mine, it shows full screen. Is that a problem? Is this full screen?
No, ma'am, it's in PPT, not in present mode. Presentable.
Oh, it doesn't show full screen, is it? It does on my screen actually. It shows full screen.
It's fine, ma'am. It's readable. It's visible. Not
It's
a problem.
fine. You can see it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe you
All
can
right.
stop
Okay.
sharing once and just then try again. Like
All
if
right.
it works,
Done.
otherwise
Done.
we'll move forward, ma'am.
Banana. आज banana नहीं.
Is this okay? Is this okay?
Not.
It's
Not.
not yet, but it's coming up.
What am I doing?
Yes, ma'am.
Now it's working, ma'am.
It's working.
Yeah,
All
but
right.
you stopped it.
Okay.
No, it's in
Ma'am, we can
PPT
start.
mode.
Not yet, but let's move forward, ma'am.
Yeah. All right. If there is a problem, just let me know. Then Gurvinder will play it from his side. I've shared the PPT with him. So just let me know if there is a problem. Measuring and assessing cognitive gains. Now, basically, this entire paper has been about cognitive training. So we've come to probably the last part of the cognitive training where we have to assess or understand what it is about cognitive ability that is going to benefit my organization, how it is going to benefit trainers. I mean, we are not a psychology class, so I'm not going to go into the details of the psychology part. We will take it to the level where how is it useful to me as a trainer and how is it useful to my participants or clients who may be from any institutions, corporate, educational, or otherwise, right? So we'll just start with a very simple understanding of cognitive ability. I'm sure that after having done 9 sessions in cognitive training, this is clear to everybody. So we are basically talking about the mental function or the mental ability which helps us to live a life, right? So whether it is in terms of getting information, processing it, using it, to giving attention to certain things, all of you all would have learned different things about these abilities. I come from a marketing background, so for us, attention is always, selective attention, and then we have selective retention. Like suppose I were to say today that tomorrow is not a holiday. I'm sure somebody will at the end of the class say, "Ma'am, what was it about the holiday that you said?" Selective retention will be there. They remember only the holiday part of it. They don't remember kal holiday nahi hai. They will not remember that. So selective attention, selective retention, and then selective retrieval. Retrieval comes when you let's say your chappal is broken. Suddenly you start seeing only footwear shops or the mochi who's sitting on the road, because then it becomes very, very selective for you and your entire focus comes only on that particular need that you have. So far as cognitive ability is concerned, it's what makes us human, it's what makes us intelligent, and it's what really matters in a class. And for a trainer, it is very important that he judges or gauges the cognitive ability of the participants, and not only gauges it, but also knows how to utilize that to his or her benefit. Okay. So these are some of the cognitive abilities that you have already looked into, but we will go more into detail as we go ahead in the PPT. We talk about perception, that is, you have sensory perceptions, but then how do you interpret those perceptions? And these, according to me, these are all like time machines. If there is a sensory perception, many of us, when we get a particular smell, it reminds you of someone or some incident or of a situation. So these are perceptions which remain with us over a period of time, and they create our own memories. What I would suggest is all good trainers should watch the movie Inside Out. You can just make a note of it somewhere. Inside Out, I think it's a Disney movie. It's an animated movie, but Inside Out is a wonderful movie about how we make memories and how we lose memories. So it's inside out, that you're inside somebody's mind, and then they're showing you the working of the mind in a very, very simple and uncomplicated manner. And if you remember when we learned storytelling, we said that we need to make even information very, very interesting. So Inside Out is an excellently told story about a young girl who is dealing with the different parts of her life, her traumas, her happiness, her grief, her sadness. And that whole movie is about how we process things in our brain. I suggest all good trainers should actually have a look at this movie at least once. And you can use clippings of it. If not, if you don't want to use clippings of it, understand the movie and you can quote from the movie. It comes out extremely well. It's a relatable movie, and many people have seen that movie, so it's very easy to talk about it in a training class. And then you have language understanding. When you combine all these things, language, perception, and then you get something really different. May I ask you to please play that one small video?
Sure, ma'am.
नटखट मैंगो मीठे में खट्टे का टक। ओए ओए लड़के पीछे देख, लग रहा है क्या? अबे लग रही है क्या? नहीं लग रहा, आ जाओ। अबे लग रही है क्या? देख। अबे अब लग गया। कैंडी मैन नटखट मैंगो क्यों, कैसा लगा?
All right. Very small ad from Candyman. Can somebody explain this for me? Why am I using it in this particular context?
Because both the persons are talking in different state of mind. Somebody is saying that ki lag rahi hai means whether it is going to hit, but the boy is saying that it's a task that whether it is touching or not.
Correct. So the guy is actually worried that it should not touch, and the boy thinks that he's waiting for it to touch, right? So this is language perception, that nobody is wrong. Everybody is perfect in their own way. And remember, many times participants are just like these children. So you might not be on the same page as them. So I just thought this ad was terribly cute, where it shows a very different understanding of the language and the situation itself. And I always say that if you want to be a good trainer, train children for some time, and always go to school children to train, and train the younger ones, not the high school ones. Don't go for the 8th, 9th, 10th standard. Go for the 6th, 7th, 8th, or at least 5th, 6th, 7th students, and you will see that their slates are so clean that they will challenge most of your training material, and it will not be so easy to explain to them. I feel that when we go to students and we teach, it clarifies a lot of our fundamentals for us. And there is somebody who says that if you can explain a concept to a 4-year-old, then the concept is clear to you. But if it's too complex, then you yourself may not be very clear on it, right? But many of us, unfortunately, take something very simple and complicate it. But as a trainer, I think we need to understand that peripheral learning is about taking something very complex and then making it, chunking it down, making it palatable, and making it sticky for the participants, right? I'll come back to right. So the importance of cognitive ability at work, every type of job that is done at work requires some amount of cognitive ability. Now, the level of cognitive ability may vary. Like a surgeon requires a different type of cognitive ability from somebody who may be digging, mud out of a well or whatever. So they both require cognitive ability, but they may require the amount of cognitive ability or the level at which we are talking may be a little different. Kanagraj, yes, question?
Ma'am, I could not see your presentation. It is showing still the first slide, which is measuring and assessing cognitive gains.
Oh dear me. Is it? This is also not visible?
No,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. I am
Not
seeing the first
sustained.
slide, ma'am.
I mean, it's still on a first page only.
Yeah, first page.
Oh, we are still here, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, Gurvinder, may I please request you to play the PPT from your side? I
Okay,
don't
ma'am.
want to waste
Just give me a
time.
minute, ma'am.
Please, thank you. Very kind of you. I thought I'd resolved the issue because the laptop is new and I did get all the settings done, but appears there is still some problem.
It was, ma'am, on PPT mode. It was not on the presentable mode. That's why slide was not changing actually.
So
Is it?
yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. On my
Okay.
screen, it showed it is changing. I'm so sorry for that.
I think it can be done from your end also, madam. You just now coming. Excellent.
Yeah, no issues. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Next. Sorry, Sheetal?
Yeah, now the slide is visible, ma'am.
Lovely. Can I have the next one, Gurvinder? I'm going to trouble you for this. Next one. Next one. Yeah. Even as we are talking about the different levels of cognitive abilities that we all possess, and whether it is in terms of learning, attention, perception, language ability, whatever, you should know about Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences theory. I think many of you must be aware of this. I personally, there is a lot of, social scientists who have challenged this theory. But if you really apply it in your real life, you will see that other than IQ, which we call the intelligence test or the intelligent quotient, where we think that IQ measures your cognitive ability. And if you have a low IQ, it means you have a less understanding of cognitive ability. But if you really look at the types of intelligences, then you will see that everybody has some kind of intelligence which they are good at, right? So Howard Gardner says that I might be intelligent differently, right? So everybody's in, if you look at Sachin Tendulkar doesn't have a high IQ. What he has is muscle memory. So he has something which is possibly not, look at tennis players, look at athletes, what they have is the muscle intelligence. So they are not so much about the mental ability, but they are about the muscle ability. If you look at architects, what they have is spatial intelligence, right? So they are talking about intelligence which may be in the abstract sense, but they're able to visualize things. They're able to see something which is not very obviously in front of you. Then years back, or rather centuries back, we would respect the tribal people because they had certain abilities which dealt with nature. So whether it was about animal tracking, whether it is about star, finding your way home, looking at the stars, this natural intelligence was huge. But as we thought we progressed, this natural intelligence took a backseat. If you remember, your grandmother would always know the different types of leaves that would be around you, which were medicinal, which were poisonous. This was the natural intelligence which was passed down generation to generation. Unfortunately, today, because we do not value that intelligence, we feel that it is not necessary to even know about it. And hence, we have lesser number of formal trainings in that. Then you have some people who just have a musical ear, and then some people who are completely tone deaf, right? Now, these people are born with an understanding of music. They just musically inclined. There are people who are what we, I remember Rahul was telling me about this word polyglots. Polyglots are people who speak multiple languages. And there are many who are inclined to learn languages very, very easily. So you may stay in another state, another culture, and never learn that language. But there are certain people who, without even visiting Korea, will know so much about the Korean language, the grammar. They may not go to Spain, but they will learn just through the serials or through videos, and they will learn because they have an ability or they have an inclination or an aptitude to learn languages. So Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences basically points out that please do not judge or gauge anybody's cognitive intelligence based only on their IQ, right? IQ is a test of the reasoning and mathematics, logics and mathematics, but we need to go beyond that. So even companies have gone a little beyond that. Today you talk about IQ, then you talk about EQ, and somebody came up with SQ, that is your spirituality quotient. I remember doing a paper on, I called it the GQ, your gullibility quotient, because I don't know how many of you know how young, but there was a time when Ganpati was drinking milk in India. And we didn't have that much of, social media that time. And yet all around the country, including the newspapers and TV channels, and everybody was suddenly talking about how Ganpati is drinking milk. And it just shows the gullibility quotient that we are with. And unfortunately, in many cultures, this gullibility quotient is very, very high, that we believe something that is so ridiculous only because it is based in something that we believe in, right? So this could be another type of intelligence that we talk about. There is one about intrapersonal, how you talk to yourself. You must have seen, there are many people who have extremely high self-esteem. They have extremely high self-awareness. Their talk to themselves is very, very clear. They know themselves inside out. So these are people who have intrapersonal, that is within themselves, they have excellent communication. And then there are people who are interpersonal. That is, they know exactly how to deal with the social elements. They know when to talk, when not to talk, what to keep a secret, when to connect, how to do small talk, how to use language well, how to do mirroring, all the chittu things. And many times that comes naturally to them. My dad worked in multiple states, and he used to, we're from Pune and we speak the so-called pure Marathi. And whenever he went into South India, he would deliberately uh, change his Marathi, because he used to say it's extremely intimidating to people who don't speak Marathi as their first language. It may be the second, third, fourth language. And then he used to change his Marathi in such a way that, "Hoy काय, तुम्ही गेलते काय?" And then he would, talk in the South Indian accent to them so that they could feel a part of it. Some people just have this intelligence where you know how to even, connect with other people. And we always say that, some people just get along with others very easily. And then we very simply put it as introvert, extrovert. But that's a very small part of being an introvert and an extrovert. So connecting with other people, bodily or kinesthetic intelligence. Like I said, Sachin, then I always look at, I'm from the old school. So Martina Navratilova, when you saw Martina playing, it was like poetry in motion. So many of us have these natural inclinations, and please keep this in mind. Whenever you use assessment tests, please do not think that they define you. Unfortunately, many psychologists will have you believe that your aptitude test defines you, your assessment test defines you, your IQ test defines you. It doesn't. At best, it is a measure of who you are at that point of time. It really cannot measure you as a person. So there is a limitation and a restriction how far psychological tests can be dependable, right? Can I have the next one? And these are the different cognitive ability tests which are readily available. I use a couple of these tests for my classes. I would suggest that you go through these classes. Many of these are to improve your cognitive ability. Many of these are to gauge and judge your cognitive ability. Many of these are for improving your aptitude, though I really don't understand what improving your aptitude is. Aptitude is a natural inclination. So when you say that you're studying for IIT JEE and you're giving your aptitude test, how can you prepare for an aptitude test? Aptitude is supposed to be natural. It cannot be something that you learn. But unfortunately, in our entire education system, we really don't gear up for selection. We gear up for elimination because of the vast number of people. So many of these tests are used to eliminate rather than to select anybody from a particular group of people. So if you want, you can look up these tests. These are all standardized tests. It means they're tried and tested and with empirical evidence. And many of these tests are easily available for free, even online. You can use them for yourselves. You can use them for your participants too. Can I have the next slide? And these are types of cognitive tests that we have. And these are fairly obvious ones. And I'm sure as trainers, as HR people, you would have used many of these tests. I would like at least two people to explain two different tests to me. Can you first read them? Because these are fairly obvious tests. All of us have either undergone this, used it in our classes, or the name itself is very, very clear. I would like two people to select one test and tell me what the test is and how it can be used in an organization. Or as a trainer, how can you use it? Please read it first, and then you could select one or two and explain to me.
Can I come?
Yes. Yes, so they good.
For example, I am taking the test of case analysis and decision making.
Okay.
In this, we ask participant to go for a case and they analyze it, and they study it, they go into the details of the case, and then after what is the decision they are coming out, that can be discussed in the classroom, so that they can have this ability of decision making in that particular situation. And at the faculty, we can debrief it with all the participants. So in that way, we can go ahead.
Absolutely correct. So it's basically a type of, because you cannot bring in a real situation in the classroom, we do, this is a type of simulation that we do, that we take a case analysis. Very nicely put, Sudhir. I'll take one more person.
Critical thinking.
Sanjay, go ahead.
Yeah. And critical thinking, we may put a scenario.
Sorry, which one did you select?
Yeah.
Which one did you select?
Scenario, any scenario we can put before the learners, and based on that scenario, we will try to make them critical thinking and then come to the conclusion.
All right, I accept this. Because when we studied critical thinking ourselves, that is what we said, that you can create a situation or take a situation which already exists and then try to analyze and give the thinking behind it. And basically, critical thinking should be at least a 360-degree element where you're looking at it from different perspectives. I would like one more person to take one more test and explain to me, please. If you want, you can give an example also of how you use it in your class.
Verbal ability and English grammar. Usually, whenever we select a managerial role people, so communication is very, very important for them. So they have to know the verbal communication as well as the written communication via mail. So we usually check their verbal ability as well as the English grammar.
Absolutely correct, because many times what you communicate in writing, what you communicate verbally also represents your company. So many times you are like ambassadors of your company. So your mail is an ambassador of your company. Your written communication, your messages are an ambassador of your company. So we need to make sure that the right kind of communication takes place. Excellent. So I'm not going to go into the details because these are 16 different tests that we have put over here. And I'm sure that these tests are very easy to understand and very easy to comprehend in terms of how can I use it in my classroom. Please remember, all these are also part of the activities that you can create in your class and then debrief and use it for your purpose, right? Depending on what are the different topics that you're doing, you can get a perfect fit for that, and then you can use these as a activity. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, now why do we have to do any kind of a cognitive evaluation? Why do we need to do the assessment? Because in any group that we go to in a company, identification of exceptional learners is a must. And you must know at what level are the learners. Like I said, when you go to school and start teaching them, trust me, as trainers, as HR people, please take it up as a challenge and go to schools and interact with those students. And many of your fundamentals will get clearer because they will ask you questions. They're extremely curious with this, they have zero understanding of the concepts that you're talking about. So when they ask you questions, you need to be ready with the, depth of your knowledge. So what we do over here is we find out if there is any exceptional learners in the organization. This is useful for the HR department because they will need to know if there are any of their employees who can be fast tracked, or they can be selected for their promotions or for succession or for leadership training, right? So identification of exceptional learners, these tests come in very, very handy over there. Then tagging of top talent with minimum effort. Now these, it's called different names, it's called talent mapping. It's called different sort of things in different organizations, but HR can look at this very, very positively, where you can actually tag the top talent which is with you. And many times, everybody comes in with their qualifications, like you'll have a chartered accountant, or you'll have an engineer, or you'll have a BCA, MCA, or whatever qualifications that they come in, and then their certifications will be there. But somewhere you may have to check whether they are on the same page as the organization. So you may have to have your own tests to see where they stand in spite of all their declarations of certifications that they have. And next, the last one is customizing the learning paths. Depending upon where you're starting, everybody's starting point is different. So if your starting point is different, then obviously your journey will be different. So an organization can customize the training programs or the learning programs depending upon the kind of abilities that exist in those employees or in those participants. As a trainer, it's very important for you. And one of the questions that all trainers should ask before taking a training is, whom am I training? Who is going to sit in my class? Can I have a profile of the participants? It's very, very important. It is important. Why? Because then you go with that level of preparation. So if you are going and teaching top level management, then your preparation will be have to be at that level. If you are going for orientation of new batch of employees which are coming in, then your own orientation towards the training will have to change, right? So when you talk about cognitive evaluation, make sure that you use it for your benefit. What is the level of participation that you will have in the training classes? Can I have the next one? We'll come to the next part, and that is in addition to the cognitive test, which is also a part of psychometric testing. Psychometric, that means psychology, metrics or psychology testing, right? The psychological aspect, that is the personality, your personality traits or your behavioral tendencies, those will have to be checked, right? So, like you could say, emotional intelligence is one test, or your social awareness is one test, self-awareness is another test. So these are all psychometric tests which can be conducted during your training programs. They can be conducted, like I said, by HR department for their own employees, or it could be done by a trainer also. So over here, once you know the type of people who are attending, their psyche, their understanding, their behavioral traits, then you can craft a very targeted program for them, right? I remember doing a program for people who came from a rural background, who worked with agricultural workers, and many of them worked in the CSR department of the companies. So we needed to understand who are they dealing with. So we were doing a posh training for them, where we were training them. So now you need to understand where are they going to utilize it, right? So what are their personality traits that we can use for our benefit, whether it can better our program, right? So as trainers, you need to be very much aware of the psychometrics of your own group that you will be training. It can enhance employee engagement and retention, because many people, when they display a certain type of behavior, when they display certain behavioral traits, you also know what their motivational parameters are, right? For a company, that's very, very important, that you should know what motivates people. I remember doing a session for Hetero company, which is Hyderabad-based multinational, and they had called me to do a session on the ROI of gratitude. And they said that we want the gratitude to become a part of the DNA of our company, and how are we going to actually do that? Now, over here, first you need to understand what is their motivational level, right? So unless and until you have some kind of psychometrics on your participants, it's very difficult to change them. You must know what really motivates these people. How is it that you can hook them? How is it that you can engage them, whether as a participant or as an employee? And in today's times, companies are spending a huge amount of money on employee engagement. We've all seen what happened during COVID. Everybody went home and they were working from home. Now, to bring them back into the companies, you had a hybrid model. Now, many of the companies are wondering, what the hell do we do with our infrastructure? How do we bring people back? Now, first, you need to see what is the motivation. What is the motivation to come back, right? So you will first have to understand the psychology behind why would you want to come back to office and start working. And from there, you can take it, right? So employee engagement at its best over there, identifying knowledge gaps and building on strengths. We have something called gap analysis in marketing, where the service level expectation of the customers, the service level at which you deliver in the market, there is always a gap between that. So when you go to a dhaba, you'll get dhaba food. But if you go to a 5-star and you get dhaba food, then there is a huge gap between the expectation and the delivery by the hotel. So over here, the knowledge gaps, to understand that, you need to understand the psychometry of your participants or your employees. So there it can come in very, very handy. And the last one, unleashing the power of self-awareness. This, as a trainer, you will find that whenever you do any psychometric tests or you do any of these cognitive ability assessments in your class, they come out extremely well because everybody loves to know a little more about themselves, and especially in a way in which it is you have no vested interest in them. So when they take that test, they obviously know that, I am being tested for a particular reason, and then as a trainer you should be able to interpret those results. So many times I say that a trainer is a bit of everything, a little bit of mentoring, a little bit of coaching, a little bit of counseling, everything together. We are not psychologists. So if you're not a trained psychologist, please limit yourself to many of the tests which are easy to interpret or where interpretation is understood more easily. Please do not try to duplicate a psychiatrist or a psychologist. This is a disclaimer on all cognitive skills. Please, we are not, unless anybody over here has a doctorate or a master's in psychology and then they know the in-depth knowledge of it, please go ahead and do it. But generally, if you're a trainer from any other background, please make sure that even if you don't do good, don't do harm. Don't do counseling when you're not in a position, you have not qualified as a counselor, then please do not behave as a counselor. Remain a trainer. This is always a caveat that I give to all trainers, don't overshoot your role. You're not a know-it-all, you're not a fix-it-all. So retain your trainer's role for the limited amount of knowledge that you're going to transfer, behavioral transformation and impact, and leave it at that. Please do not think you are some sort of a messiah who is going to save a company or the participants, right? Can I have the next one, please? Some of the psychometric tests, which we already studied, these cognitive tests, then you have the personality test. This assesses your behavioral traits and preferences. Motivational test. Recently, I became part of one app which is being launched, and in that, they are doing compatibility and compatibility based on behavioral traits and sexual preferences. So this is an app which is very different from your usual, Tinder and Bumble or whatever. So it's something that they're trying out very differently, and they call themselves Kundali 2. So, if you go to marriage sites, you have somewhere where they say they match the Kundali. So they say we are Kundali 2, Kundali 3. So when we talk about that, we are really basically showing a mirror to most people, so that when they give those honest answers, there's also a reading of what that test really means for them. Right? Then you have the motivational test where you evaluate what really is valued by your participants and by your employees. So what are their interests, what are their goals? So here you understand how to motivate them. You start with the basics like Maslow's theory of motivation. I mean, the hierarchy is all wrong, no doubt about it, but the parameters of motivation are all in place. The hierarchy is all wrong. But if you look at that, you will see that practically everybody on this planet can be slotted somewhere on that pyramid over there in Maslow's pyramid. But understanding what really is the motivation, you will see that when you are at mid-level in a company, money stops being a motivator. Something else might motivate you more. It may be in terms of how large a team do you lead. I work with in an organization where many people define themselves by how large a team they lead. So somebody will say, मैं 12,000 का team lead करता था. Somebody will say, मैं 6,000 लोगों को lead करता था. Like, for them, that leadership role, that is what motivates them. Right? So you need to find out what motivates people. Over a period of time, money is a given. So what motivates you beyond that? And today everybody's talking so much about, work-life balance and how do we accommodate that in our workplaces. So motivational tests are becoming tougher and tougher to read, that what really gets people going and why people change jobs, why we are not able to retain talent. The reason being that we are not able to gauge motivations very correctly. So this could be one of the pointers for HR department where, you understand what motivates people. And the last one is situational judgment test. I'll share one very an example which is stuck, a very, very sticky situation that it's stuck in my mind all these years. My Bible is my Bible, my Bhagavad Gita, my Quran, whatever you want to call it. It's a book by it's a book called The Professional by Subrata Bagchi. Subrata Bagchi, along with 6 other people from Wipro, he had started the company called Mindtree. And for me, that's my Bhagavad Gita, his book called The Professional. And in that Professional, he writes very nicely. He wanted to find out in Mindtree how many people really are on the leadership track, and he wanted to check whether his top management really was capable of leadership. And what they did was they filled the bus with all the employees. That time the company was small, so they fitted in the bus. And then they had to go to one resort, which was very close to Bangalore. It's a Bangalore-based company. And just before they were going to the resort, they entered into a village. And as the bus was entering into the village, a goat passed by, and the goat fell down on the road. Apparently, that the bus had hit the goat, and suddenly, out of nowhere, a lot of villagers and very angry villagers came with their, sickles and with sticks, and they started hammering on the bus from outside, saying that. Uh, just come out of the bus and we will teach you a lesson. How dare you enter into a village at this speed, and our boat has died, and things like that. And they started banging. Now, inside the bus, there were top management, there were middle management, and there were entry level people. Surprisingly, in this situation, 2 youngsters who had recently joined the company, they volunteered to exit from the bus and talk to the villagers. And everybody in the bus told him, hey, be very careful. Those villagers are extremely angry and they could beat you to death. And this is their ilaka, this is their area, and they could do anything to you. And these two said, no problem. And they came out of the bus, and suddenly the villagers all started laughing. And these two were taken aback, like what happened? And they then were told that it was a staged incident. It was staged by Subrata Bagchi. And he said, I wanted to see whether my top management really has leadership skills. And they didn't. In a situation of panic, the ones who came forward were actually entry-level employees who took up the leadership role, saying that we'll represent the company outside, and they tried to resolve the issue. And he says in the book that those two remained with him for a number of years and they climbed up the leadership ladder. Now, this is a situational judgment. You need to judge what has to be done in that particular situation. And many times companies can gauge in a panic situation, in an emergency situation, in an evacuate situation, how do the employees behave? Who are the ones who will actually be, in a position to take some decision-making roles? In my class, when I do training, I usually block many times. I have done this when I'm doing any kind of psychometric test. I block the entrance by putting a few overturned chairs, and I wait inside to see how many push the chair aside and enter, and who is the one who picks up those chairs and puts them away. Those chairs are not made of very heavy metal. You can easily pick them up, but not everybody. There will be the smartass who will only move it enough for one person to enter, and then enter somebody who will just pick it up, keep it in its right place. Those are the people who are ready to make difference to a situation. So everything that you do in your classroom can either be it can be an indicator of some of the behavioral traits. Can I have the next one? Yeah, and we are actually going to do one assessment. Guruvinder, may I request you to please play the test on the screen over here and also share it as a PDF in the chat box if you can. I would like you to take this test. If it's a PDF in the chat box, I don't know if it's editable or not, but I'd like you to take the test. It's a EI test. It's your emotional intelligence test. And there are 4 pillars on which emotional intelligence stands. It's self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, social management. So there are 10, 10, 10, 40 questions in all, for which there is a marking of 0 to 1, 0 being the least, 4 being the highest. And then you have to score yourself on each of these pillars, right? And then there is also an interpretation that is given below. These tests are, this is a test which is easily available online. You can take a printout of it for yourself. You can use it for your training classes if you want, but I'd like you to take the test right now. I'd like you to do that, please. So I don't know how Gurinder is going to share it with you. Yes, so he's sharing the test here. Please grab a piece of paper or on your mobile phone, wherever you can mark yourself, and make sure there is a total for each 10 questions, right? So maybe we'll go through this together. Gurinder, just show the scoring first. Right at the top, please see, the ranking of each statement. 0 is never, 1 is rarely, 2 is sometimes, 3 is often, and 4 is always. So please start this test for yourself. And please note the scores. I will ask for the scores. Please do not overthink. Give your instinctive answers and mark it very quickly. There is no need to do any self-analysis and then mark it. Do it very instinctively and very quickly.
Can you move it further forward so that other can be attempted? Just scroll down little. Yeah. It is scrolling up. Yeah.
Gurinder, don't show the scores right now. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Can go
Guruvanda
upward
ji,
in
jara move upward.
SEA?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bit upward.
Once you have marked it, for every 10 questions, please create a total over there for yourself.
Please scroll up. No, one of my is left.
Scroll up to which one?
Second one after emotional awareness.
Just give me a hands up if you're almost done. Yeah. Yeah, I can see many are done. Okay, okay. I think we're good to go. So the first pillar that we talked about, self-awareness. What are your totals?
34.
Only the first part.
32.
31.
37.
31.
All right.
37.
If it's easier, you can
31,
put it
ma'am.
in the chat box.
20.
All right. Gurvinder, okay, okay. So, okay, these are your scores for your own emotional awareness, how you know yourself, how well you know yourself. The second pillar, that is your emotional management or self-management. What are your totals over here?
32, ma'am.
34.
34,
33.
30, 33. We have all 30s over here. All right. Any other totals?
33.
All right. Okay, can I have the next one, Gurvinder, the next pillar? Social emotional awareness.
31.
How well you are aware of
33, ma'am.
others' emotions.
32.
Say again. Okay,
32.
very good. Okay. All right. Any more? Are only so many people taking the test out of all attending? That's
28.
a little amusing.
27.
27. All right. Okay.
Everybody
And
wanted
can
to
we
know
have the
about
last one?
themselves.
The last one, relationship management.
27.
30.
37.
30,
35.
ma'am.
All right.
33.
29.
Okay. Okay. Now that you all have the scores,
36.
obviously you would like to know the interpretation of this. Yes. Okay. The interpretation of the scores is if you have a score of 0 to 24, it means it requires attention. It means that you could do better to understand it and to enhance it and to develop it. So if your self-awareness is anywhere below 24, then it means that you need to understand yourself a little better. You need to dig into yourself a little better. The reflection has to be a little better with yourself, right? So try looking into the mirror and knowing yourself a little better. The second one over here, which is your emotional management. Over there also, if it is 0 to 24, it means we need to improve it. For the third and for the fourth pillars, if it is between 0 and 24, it means that you have less of that ability and you need to build that ability very, very consciously. The best part about this assessment is it shows you a mirror, but it is not a constant mirror. You can definitely enhance this ability for yourself. And if it's between 25 and 34, it basically means that you are very good at it, but there is still scope for enhancement. You can improve that ability. You are good at it, you can improve it. And anywhere where your scores are more than 34, any of the four pillars, if your score is more than 34, it means that you're doing extremely well for yourself over there. You can use that as a strength to improve upon your more weaker areas, right? So this is a holistic assessment of your emotional intelligence. It's about how you deal with yourself and how you deal with others, right? So it's intra as well as inter. So over here, this interpretation is very simple. 0 to 24, you need to work on it. 24, 25, 26 to 34, it's really good for you. It's your strength. And from 35 onwards, it means that you need to use that strength to enhance all your other weaknesses, right? So any questions over here while we are still on this page? Any questions regarding this?
No, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am,
Okay.
can we get this PDF, ma'am?
It will
Already
be
shared.
included along
Been
with your.
shared on the
It is
chat.
already shared, already shared.
Yeah, it's there on the chat, plus it will come to you when you get your PPT and everything. All material that I give Guruvinder is given to you. So whether it's a video that I use or any test that we use, everything will be shared with you. Right?
Ma'am, kindly
Okay.
share such links so that we can use in our behavior training also when we are.
Sheetal, you're not audible, Magal.
Ma'am, kindly give such links so that we can take use when we are giving behavioral trainings to the pupils.
Okay. Okay. Done. Okay, Guruvinder, can we stop sharing, please? All right. So this is basically about cognitive assessment, and many of these tests are very easily available online. And
पानी ले
only
आना
नहीं ला सकती पानी आपके लिए.
हमें भी चाहिए पानी मैम।
Sorry?
मैम सबको पानी चाहिए मैम।
यहाँ इतनी
Emotional
बारिश है,
intelligence,
सबको
sir.
दे सकती हूँ actually.
Emotional intelligence, sir. Nothing.
All right. I think there is no slide after this. Gurvinder, if I'm not, there is one. Yes. This is something which I thought as trainers, you might find this very interesting. I'd like you to very quickly download this app, Brain Peak. I got this from a psychologist friend of mine, and I asked her as a trainer, is there something that I can use? And I can, take from or learn from or use it in some enhanced manner in my class. So she gave me this. It's called Brain Peak. She gave me Brain Fit also, but she says that's more for psychologists. Don't use it. So Brain Peak app, just download it. आपका जो introduction कुछ है वो डाल के email ID डाल के just get to the app and take the test.
Like peak brain games and training. Is it
Brain
that?
Peak.
It coming like peak brain games and training. I think that will be the.
But
Yes.
at which
Peak
platform
is
it is
the
available,
application.
ma'am?
You could try it in Play Store.
It is, ma'am, peak
Yes, sir.
brain games
Yes,
and
ma'am. It is
training.
there in
It is there.
Play Store as Peak.
Peak
Yes.
brain and training.
Okay. Okay. The logo that I've given below, that's just an image that I copied. Okay. It has nothing to do with the app. So don't look for that image.
Okay, but what we are
Actually, it's
downloading
the
is
same image, ma'am.
Sorry?
image is same. Image
It's
is
the
same.
same image on Play
Is
Store.
it? Okay. I was not even sure. I just took it randomly from the net and I put it over here.
Okay,
But I
exactly
did
it has
download
come.
the app and I found the test very interesting. Just look at the type of questions which are there.
Yes.
Thank you, Gurvinder. You all got to the test?
Actually,
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sure there's a paid version also, but for our purpose, this much is enough right now. Murli, yes. Question? Okay. Any reactions on that app?
actually, so
I think you all can
Very
complete the
interactive.
test one.
it's still opening in my case.
Really good app, ma'am. It's really good app.
It is.
So in this case,
Okay.
what are the things? What are the things that can we do through this app? And
This is basically a cognitive assessment app. So that, and it
okay,
not only does the assessment, it will help you to improve it also. I was a
right.
part of one study for cognitive ability assessment for those who are beyond the age of 50, 55. And I was a part of the study. It was a PhD study in one of the universities. And a few months ago, and it was very in depth. I had to spend about 6 days over here with 2.5 to 3 hours every day. And they not only gave us an assessment of our current ability, but they also told us how we can get it back to what it was earlier. And what the study showed was that with age, cognitive ability, it's like a bell curve, right? It does reduce, but you make up for that with experience, exposure, and so many other things. And that is why you will see that teaching top management in a corporate is more difficult because they may have slowed down in terms of their abilities, but they have made up for that slowing down with the lot of experience that they have, the exposure that they have, the situations that they have faced. So as a trainer, you will have to tweak your session in such a way that you will cater to both, that they may not be so quick on the uptake, but their experience will more than make up for that. So if you're going to take mid-level to top management, then you can keep this in mind. And the study that I was a part of very clearly shows that you can continuously enhance your cognitive ability. And they told us that, see, all of us have a habit, na, कि fridge पे कोई list रहता है, तो we write whatever is missing in the house. ये लाना है, वो लाना है, फलाना, अंडे लाने हैं, दूध लाना है. We write that list. Now we've also learned to keep a list on our mobile phone. And because the mobile phones come with us, we don't use our mind at all. We quickly open the mobile phone and we see what the list is. Or we've taken a photograph of that list on the fridge and we quickly refer to that. So we were trained to not look at the phone as a reminder. And they said that use your mind power to remember it. Force yourself to visualize what was written on that fridge. And that way you get your brain ticking and thinking again. Few years ago, about 10, 15 years ago, all of us knew 10 to 20 phone numbers by heart. But somehow with the advent of the mobile phone, we stopped dialing. So when we had the rotary phone, we had no option but to remember the number or either look at it and dial. So we've had, memorized all those numbers. But now with the advent of the mobile phone, we've stopped memorizing those numbers. So actually our mental capability is reduced over a period of time. How many of us, if you see small children today, none of them are learning tables the way we used to. Because for them, the calculator is so easily available, the laptop is so, mobile is there everywhere, that calculating ability is so easily available. But over a period of time, we will reduce the usage of our brain. And especially as you grow older, you need to continuously exercise that brain. So brain calisthenics, brain gym, they tell you to do the Sudoku, you do the crossword and things like that. And that is to sharpen your mind actually, right? So cognitive ability, if unused in evolution, will be reduced. So we need to continuously sharpen our minds. With that, I will stop my session. I will take one person's comment on today's class. Anybody would like to say anything?
Ma'am, it's really insightful. I think a lot of new areas of understanding that we explored today. Very interesting.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. That brings us to the end of today's session. Thank you so much. I'll see you next Sunday.
Thank you, ma'am.
Enjoy the rest
Thank
of
you
the
so
day.
much,
Thank you.